What's up guys, Roddy here, and today we're going to be talking about something I didn't think we would ever talk about. Today we're going to talk about this guy, the brand new Pixel Fold. So let's go. So guys, before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. Yes, we've got Peg Leg in the building. It's spooky season, so I thought I'd add a little bit of flair, but we're trying to make it to 1,000 subscribers. Hitting that subscribe button helps me. If you're already subscribed, you're awesome, and I want you to hit that like button. Give me the comments below. What do you think about the brand new Pixel Fold? Is it a great phone? Is it a good foldable? Is it the best foldable? We're going to talk about all that today, but please help me by sharing this, pushing it out there. Tell your friends, your families, anybody you know, and let's get started talking about this guy, the brand new Pixel Fold. So you guys know that I am a foldable fan. I've been rocking foldables for a while now, since the Samsung Z Fold 3. That's my first foldable that I got, but I was interested before then. I really like tablets, and I love the form factor of being able to have a phone that opens up to being a tablet. So to me, this is a really good device all around. The idea, the thought process. Now, this is Google's first iteration into this. Samsung's been doing it now for 5 years. Kind of crazy to think that we've had devices that their screens fold in half now that long. So we're going to jump right into this and talk a little bit about design. I have absolutely fallen in love with this form factor. This smaller, compact, almost kind of like notebook or passport style was something that I was real critical of. I didn't think that I would really enjoy it. I thought it would be too short. I thought that I don't know, it just didn't, I didn't like it as much looking at it as I liked the Z Fold look. Here's why. Everybody gives that Z Fold phone the outer display, they give it a lot of harsh criticism, but for me it was really nice to hold in the hand or reach across to one hand when you're taking pictures, when you're sliding in the pocket. It's like putting a candy bar or a remote or something really thin inside your pocket, or if it's laying on a desk, or if you're just holding it in general. To me, that elongated thin size was really easy to hold and use with one hand. I really liked it. And then when you open it up, it had that more tablet style design, but it was up and down. So I thought, you know, this is well utilized for what you're trying to do with it. This design, however, to me on paper looked kind of short. It looked kind of wide. I was like, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to like it. And I've actually fallen in love with it. To me, this out of the box, when I first opened it up, was folded closed, and immediately I thought, this device, it's very professional. It gave me that kind of Palm Pilot or throwback to the old BlackBerry design. It just looked very professional. And to me, this was like, this is the phone that a businessman carries, that a lawyer carries, that a stock trader carries, someone that's a more sophisticated and professional type person. To me, this gave me that vibe. And the reason why it gave me that vibe is because, well, Google did a very good job with this hardware, better than I expected, because I also gave it pretty harsh criticisms from pictures and videos that I saw. I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, in person, in the hand, the look, the feel, the finish of this device feels very premium. To me, it's almost more premium than any other device that they've put out. I'm not a big fan of these glossy sides, and I was kind of just like looking at it with like top-down shots and stuff like that. I was just like, it looks unfinished. But when you get it in the hand and you start to use this and you hold it and you feel how nice it is, it will change your mind, because it changed mine. opening it up, this kind of form factor is definitely a lot easier to hold. Now, in this kind of orientation, it is not that easy to text. And even someone like me who has bigger hands, for me to kind of reach across and try to text on this, it's a little bit of a stretch. I know you can do a divided keyboard, but I hate the way that looks and I just can't figure it out. My brain doesn't work with it. So I typically turn this thing sideways in more of this kind of up and down vertical orientation here. When you do that, yes, it does have bezels, and that makes it even easier to hold in your hand. For me, it was just super easy to do that. Also, because you have this fairly large camera bump, as you can see, it gives me something a little bit more to hold on to that side. I know I kind of hate putting my fingers all over the cameras, but when you're holding a phone that's this expensive, that if you drop it, it's probably done, it's nice to have something to hold on to. It's also nice to have those bezels and not interact with the screen. Not trying to make excuses for them, just trying to tell you how I use it. Now, you've probably seen me 2 or 3 times kind of push this open a little bit more. The hinge is very stiff. A lot of people talked about it just being extremely stiff and you really had to push it hard to make it go all the way flat. And as you can see, you don't. You have it like this and you want to open it. If you just barely open it like that, you can see it does still have a little bit of a downward slope towards the center, but you just simply have to push just a little bit like that. Just barely do it and it'll go completely flat. You don't have to really force it. It doesn't snap into place, nothing like that. So you just kind of have to take it a little bit further, and it's maybe 1 millimeter or 2 millimeters. That you don't have to force it hard or anything. It's just like it sits there and then you just like that. You probably can't even tell the difference when I'm doing it. So none of the things that I was worried about, bezels or it not opening completely flat or any of those things that I thought would give this any kind of quality control issues, none of that has appeared here. This design is absolutely beautiful. Yes, it completely closes, so you'll really like that. And overall, holding it in the hand's really easy. Talking on the phone is very easy. Texting on this front screen is easy. And like I said, I prefer to hold it more in this vertical format to text and use this whenever I have it. But design overall, not only do I think that it's great, I am surprised, and I think Google knocked it out of the park. So next thing we got to move on to is performance. We're going to talk about battery life. We're going to talk about what it's been like to use Google's first foldable, how it interacts between an outside screen, an inside screen, and those cameras. And then I'll finish up with, do I recommend it? What I think about it? Am I going to keep it? Am I going to return it? What am I going to do? So performance. And first things first, let's talk about battery life. Out of the gate, it was pretty good. I wouldn't say it was the best battery that I had ever had, but for a foldable device, especially a first year model, I thought it was pretty good. Over time, this phone has really learned my usage and it's been exceptionally good. Now, I'm not gonna say that I trust this phone to be a 2-day phone like my S23 Ultra or my Nothing phone or even my iPhone 15 Pro Max, but I do trust this enough that I can easily carry this without any kind of battery anxiety, and I think that overall it's done a very good job as a foldable, as something that you're using in a big inner display and an outer display, 2 screens, taking pictures, receiving notifications, emails, all the normal stuff I do as a power user. I don't have any problems scrolling endlessly, going through and writing tons of emails. And usually if I'm doing anything intensive like that, an email, a really long post, something that I'm just kind of spending more time than like 2 seconds to do, I typically open it and I use this inner display. Now, I would say that I probably use the outer display more on this device than I did when I had the Z Fold. That being said, I still alternate between the two fairly evenly. I would say I probably spend more time on the outer display of this device than on the inside, but I would say it's probably more like a 60/40, 70/30, versus when I had the Z Fold, it was opposite of that, and I used the inner display a lot more than this device. So when it comes to battery life, I would say they're probably about the same. Moving on from that, I do have to say that I think Google took a very smart step forward when it comes to how they use the inner display versus the outer display compared to Samsung. And I know I'm doing a lot of comparisons here, but you know the specs already on this device. You don't want to know any more specs. You want to know what it's like to use this phone for a month, and I'm going to compare it to its competition because that's probably what you really want to know. So for me, this outer display is basically just like a normal slab phone. And I think that's very smart of Google to do that, because unlike with the Z Fold 3, 4, and 5, which I've had experience with, that narrow outer display sometimes gets apps confused. And you're also on Android 13L, 14L, you're on that L version, which is more of a tablet slash phone mixture, versus here you're just on Android. And Google at first wasn't pushing for, when you opened up this phone, that the inner display forced anything to stretch. Now we know with Android 14 and on, because I've been using the beta, that it does force apps there. I would tell you that 90% of the time I've had no issues, and the few 10% of the time that I've had an issue, I could close this device and open that app back on this main front cover display and it'd be totally fine. I can't say that for the Samsung. And I know a lot of you are probably gonna say, that's user error, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. But I'm just telling you, there are times where on that version of Android, that L version, when you're inside and it's acting like a tablet and you close it, it's still acting like a tablet. And sometimes you actually have to close the app and go back into it, reopen it, sometimes lose where you were, what you were doing, etc. It's not pretty. And I know that's just working out things with a foldable. Here, that has not been the issue. And I think that, to me, Google has taken a step forward away from what Samsung has got going for it. What I mean by that is, when I'm using this like a tablet, the great thing about it is if I have an issue or something is not utilized for tablet mode and I close this and I use this outer display, it works like a normal phone, which we know most apps are genuinely developed for a normal phone. And I'm not getting that experience out of the Samsung. It's niche. It's very minor, very small times that it happens, very, very, very minor, but it does happen. And I've had it happen on the 3 and on the Z Fold 4, and I'm sure it's probably still happening on the Z Fold 5. So I think that's a win for Google, especially their first foldable, to have really decent battery, to have really good performance, and to, of course, have typical pixel cameras. Since I have switched over to the beta and I'm now running Android 14, it's been very stable. I had a few issues with the first issue of it. Now I'm on kind of the second beta here. They've pushed out an update for it, and this one feels perfect. I've had no issues, and the camera system is unlike any other. I've just taken some random pictures of food and stuff, and it looked like something that was out of a magazine. So that's really, really great to see Google doing what they're doing here, because I know a lot of people kind of complained about these cameras not being as good as 7 Pro, and of course probably not as good as the new 8 Pro. We'll see. But I can tell you that overall, this device has been extremely solid. It's an extremely attractive package. It's been more durable than I expected. It's been better at battery life. It looks better than I expected. It's overall just been probably one of my favorite devices and easiest devices to recommend for anyone for anything. I would easily recommend this device over a Z Fold, just for the sheer fact that most people who may have never had a folding phone are used to typical slab phones. And to go from a slab phone to this, I think is a lot easier than going to any other folding device out there. Flipping phones aside, because they open up to a normal phone, I still think this is the better choice. That being said, it is also a very pricey choice. And that's really the only knock on the device that I have, is that I wish there was a way Google could have made this a little more affordable. And I think more people would have bought into foldables and bought into Google based off this phone. It has aged so well since launch. I would say it is definitely the best foldable that's out there. The performance is great. I haven't noticed any lag. I haven't noticed any slowdowns. I've only maybe noticed a few times where I think Tensor was a little bit slower than the 8 Gen 2 or maybe even the 8 Plus Gen 1. But really and truthfully, it's not enough for me to go, oh, this phone is trash, or I wouldn't go to this phone because of Tensor G2. I couldn't believe I was saying that, because it was also one of the biggest hangups of me not wanting to pay $1,800 for this phone with last year's silicone. It just didn't have the appeal that I thought it would have, and it's really a device that you just kind of have to bite the bullet and actually get it in hand to realize this is an amazing device. Solid cameras, solid performance, great build quality, great battery, easily the best foldable out there. And as a Samsung fanboy, as a guy who has loved foldables from Samsung and praised them as being some of the best, aside from Samsung still having the best screens out there, this is not only the best foldable you can get, this is one of the best phones you can buy right now, period. That's going to do it for me, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We'll see you next time with our 1 month review of the brand new iPhone 15 Pro Max. That's right. I got a new iPhone, and we're going to talk about it here really soon. Thanks again. Hit that like and subscribe button, and we will see you next time.